Welcome to the first episode of the Doon School podcast. This is the story of the Doon School, the story of one man's dream, a dream which manifested into an institution which continues to be the leading light in the field of school education. But no matter how tall the tree or how expansive its canopy, it all begins with a tiny seed. So let's start at the very beginning of this fascinating story, which still continues to unfold in magical ways. Young Satish Ranjan Das was about 12 years of age when he first went to England. He studied at the Manchester Grammar School and after finishing school, went to read law at the Inns of Court. He returned to India in 1894 with a dream to establish at least one public school for Indian boys. But another 21 years passed before he was able to make the first attempt to transform his dream into reality. The year was 1915, when, with the help of some prominent Bengalis, he secured from the government of Bengal an estate in Alipore, Calcutta. Known as Hastings House, it was the country house of the first Governor-General of India, Warren Hastings. Apart from a fine house which was said to be haunted, the estate had some other buildings and grounds, all quite suitable for a boarding house, schoolhouse, and playing fields. The school made a good start, as local boys as well as those from distant parts of India joined in. But it was to be a short-lived dream. For various reasons, the school had to be shut down 5 years later. Another 5 years passed, and in 1925, the Dases were on holiday in England. Mr. Das was then the Advocate General of Bengal and legal advisor to the Government of India in this capacity. One day, the Secretary of State for India sent for him and offered him the appointment of law member in the Executive Council of the Governor-General of India. This was a serious matter, and the Das family discussed it. Acceptance of the offer meant a large loss of income for Mr. Das, who was fairly heavily in debt at that time. Though his wife was reluctant, Mr. Das eventually accepted the offer for two reasons. The first, because he felt it was his duty. Though he was what was then known as a moderate in politics, he felt that the attitude of Mahatma Gandhi and the leaders of the Swarajist party in the assembly towards him was such that he might be able to bring about a closer understanding between them and the government. The other consideration was that as a member of council, he would be in a position to influence rich and important people to provide the funds necessary for establishing a public school in India. Clearly, he had remained unfazed by the initial debacle, and his determination to see the fulfillment of his dream had not faded away. Satish Ranjan Das took up the appointment in the autumn of 1925 in the term of Lord Reading. It was, however, his successor, Lord Irwin, who was to support Satish Ranjan's dream. When Satish Ranjan prepared his scheme for a public school and showed it to Lord Irwin, he approved of it without hesitation and agreed to give it his personal support. He suggested Mr. Das form a committee, and he himself would write a letter strongly supporting the scheme of the committee and asking the princes and other people to donate funds for it. In the summer of 1928, the Dases were back in England, where Mr. Das spent a good deal of time visiting schools and discussing his scheme with well-known educators. On his return to India, he went to Simla and resumed his duties. He soon became unwell, but continued working despite grave personal discomfort, until he could work no more. He then left for Calcutta for further treatment, but it was too late. He passed away in Calcutta on October 26, 1928. He was 58 years old at that time. His dream of a public school for Indian boys along the lines of public schools in England would have died too, had he not worked hard and raised a capital for the purpose before his death. The very first donation ever made to the fundraising efforts of the Doon School was ₹11, which came from a gentleman from Agra. The next, also anonymous, donation was of ₹1 lakh made by a Bengali gentleman. Satish Ranjan Das's diary entries of the last few years of his life reveal the frantic working of a man on a mission, writing, meeting, sharing his scheme, requesting and receiving promises of help in fulfilling his long-cherished dream. Princes, Nawabs, Maharajas, Diwans, Talukdars, government officials across the length and breadth of the country showed an interest and made promises to help. After Mr. Das's demise, however, a lot of these promises remained just that, promises. But with his unstinting efforts, Satish Ranjan Das had raised ₹10 lakhs before he breathed his last. When a great man dies, for years the light he leaves behind him lies on the paths of men, said H.W. Longfellow. The light that Mr. Satish Ranjan Das left behind him lights the Doon School lamp of knowledge to this day and will continue to do so. Mr. Das had also inspired a number of his friends who, with the active help of his wife, Bonalata Devi, determined to continue working to fulfill his dream. The friends who took the project forward were Sir Akbar Hedri, Sir Joseph Bohr, and Sir Frank Noyes. But the road wasn't easy, and there were many a diversion and near slips. Interestingly, Dehradun was not even in the running for a probable location while Mr. Das was alive. Quite a few influential people were excited by the idea of a public school and very keen to have it in their province. The Diwan of Mysore was very eager to have the school located at Bangalore. The Nawab of Bhopal was very keen to have it in Bhopal and offered not just suitable land for the school buildings and playgrounds, but free electricity and water, as well as a permanent grant of ₹30,000 per annum. Satish Ranjan Das writes in his diary, I am rather drawn towards it. Bhopal is very centrally situated on the main line from the Punjab and Bombay, from which place it is only 8 hours. It is practically on the main line from the UP and Calcutta. The climate is the best available in the plains. The offer made by the Nawab is also very attractive and means really a saving of 12 lakhs in my estimate of 30 lakhs. Yet, he resisted deciding in the favor of Bhopal for 2 very good reasons. The first, that the other ruling princes may object to its location in another princely state. And secondly, which truly brings out his sagacity, that there was no absolute security in spite of the Nawab giving a written deed of grant. For as long as the Nawab was alive, it was fine. But what if any of his successors was against the school? If he refused to pay the grant of ₹30,000 or asked the school to wind up, even pressure from the government may not help matters, as it would have no power in the internal administration. Though personally inclined to take the risk, he planned to consult his committee and other donors before a final decision. Ultimately, of course, Bhopal was out of the running. Probably because the mighty mountains of the north beckoned and were to play a very important part in the DNA of the Doon School.